Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of guests. And please, before we start, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And before we start, I'm going to show off some stuff, right? Because I just got some stuff for my printer for my next campaign. The current campaign is being packed, is being signed, and is going to be shipped out sometime this week or the following week, but very soon it's all going out. So, but here's some stuff I got to show off. I got the, this is the third issue. So It Broke Fiend Couldn't Read. That's the regular cover, the Virgin cover. That's issue 3. That's the regular cover. That's the Virgin cover. And I have the alternative covers. Virgin and regular. Very nice. And the same thing for issue 4. Virgin and regular. So, all right. Enough about me. Let's bring on this guy who, I'm surprised he's here. He made it somehow. But, you know, he's here. What's
Got
up,
to believe we are. Oh, sorry. I don't want you to get hit with any copyright strikes.
Oh, yeah, no,
it
please.
could be an expensive song right now.
Yeah, especially that, with that voice. Go ahead.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I got the voice of an angel, bro. An angel.
On crack.
Angel.
Yes, on crack, yes.
What's up, Screamland? I am JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, and I am full of myself. I am happy to be here with everybody hanging out, talking comics, and hoping to maybe bring some new concepts to people out there who are looking to do comics. So let's rock and roll, baby.
All right, cool. And our co-host.
This is Mark Torres. This is Mark Torres. It came from the Real Official, the Big Apple Con. I am the co-host of either Indy Comics Explained or Talking Comics on a Sunday. I'm not sure which is it now. And it's not a holiday. So that's amazing that I'm here today.
Today's a holiday?
No, it's not. Usually he only has me on for holidays. And Jay, you're very crackly. You might want to unplug and plug back in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. But I think the special thing is I saw that you have a working camera now, and I think that's what it was. That's why I invited you. I wanted everybody to see your face.
You see, Mark gets a working camera, and my stuff is crackly. Am I still crackly or no?
Yeah,
you're louder, and you're still crackling.
It's my fan. Hold on.
I don't think he's your fan. I think it's just you.
I think it's a connection.
Exactly.
He can't hear us. He's gone. Who else do we have on for today's panel?
How you doing, Erik?
Hey guys, what's up?
Please introduce yourself, sir.
Erik Radvon here, comic writer, creator, indie publisher. Super psyched to be with you all. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. And we have Mr. Peter. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Hello. I am Peter Palmiotti, 30 years in the business, mostly as an inker, and currently working with Mark and a bunch of other people on a number of projects, as well as going to finally get my book out, Retro, later this year.
Nice.
All right. How you doing, Grant?
Hey, how's it going?
So please introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, my name is Grant Lankard. I'm the writer of issues 1 through 3 of Beowulf, and issue 4 is now on Kickstarter. I'm sure somebody will post a link, assuming they haven't already.
All right, cool. And last but certainly not least, the man Marvin Wynn. Well, you logged in last.
Oh, well, that's no excuse.
Yes, it is.
That's just bad timing on my part.
How you doing, Marvin?
As always, Marvin Wynn, writer of The Edge, coming straight out of Comicsburg. You know where it's at.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody knows. They know.
Everybody knows. All right, gentlemen. I got a question for all of you. Oh, and just to let everybody know, we were supposed to have Evan Pozios on. He couldn't make it. He's not feeling well. But you can go check out his book. It's currently on Zoop. It's in the show notes. It's a great book. I backed it myself, so go check it out, all right? So
feel better?
Yes, please feel better.
Yeah.
He's always welcome. All right, so here's a question. It's like a statement with a fucking question at the end of it. It's so damn long. But anyway, currently we have a bunch of different crowdfunding platforms coming out, right? We got Zoop, we have Crowdfunder, we already have Kickstarter, we already have Indiegogo. I've been hearing noise about a couple of others coming up. I know Backer Kid is looking to get into it, right? So I'm just wondering, is anybody here planning on using any of these other platforms? And do you think there's any benefit to it aside from the cash? We all know there's cash at the end. That's why we'll do this. But aside from the cash, do you think there's any real benefit to using any of these other platforms? All right. So let's start to the last man in, first man out, Mr. Wynn.
So, I mean, I think that's a good question. And to me, when you have a lot of something, it starts to cannibalize itself. So, do you just go to where the audiences are? So, is an audience built into these other new platforms? You know, Kickstarter has an audience. You know, Indiegogo has an audience. There's not a lot of crossover there. Does Zoop have an audience? Does Crowdfunder have? All these other platforms have a built-in audience besides BackerKit. You know, BackerKit already has a built-in audience because they've already been using it, so it makes sense for them to build on something like that. But are people going to be attracted to what is attracting the customer to those other platforms? So I asked you a question now. So
All right, thank you. I'll answer at the end. We'll pass it on to Erik.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty what Marvin said. It's pretty much on point. You know, I'm only on my second campaign, right? And I've just done Kickstarter. It's like the Coca-Cola of crowdfunding, right? It's the dominant leader, and Kickstarter's been pretty good to me. You know, it brings a lot to the table in terms of visibility on their platform, and comics has like become a huge, you know, segment of what they do. I know a lot of folks have luck on Indiegogo as well. It's sort of like a Coke Pepsi thing going on there. And but you know, you could maybe see one of these other platforms carving out a space for themselves. You know, if they targeted maybe a certain genre or something like, or you know, you could see them maybe catering to some less mainstream stuff. Like maybe there's opportunity for one of these platforms to become like the next Vertigo or something, right? In terms of like what they're offering people. But yeah, I mean, right now, like again, I'm on my second campaign. I've not seen any compelling reason to jump ship from Kickstarter to something else, but everyone's had a different experience, and there might be some interesting, unique benefits that these other platforms come up with. I don't think it's enough for them to just simply be a vanilla crowdsourcing platform, because it's already been hatched, right? It's like trying to come up with another Amazon or something. There's already somebody out there who's done that. They've got to have a unique twist on it to make it their own, in my opinion.
Cool. Mr. Peter?
I would say, you know, like I have two campaigns going, one with Mark and another one called Wildcat Anthology, which is on IGG. And from my experience now and in the past, we really have to like shout out to the internet and drag people over to the campaign. So I don't think our campaigns are necessarily being seen on the platform themselves. So a new platform doesn't really excite me. It means more work.
Right.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean that was my experience with Indiegogo. I tried doing Indiegogo for issue number 1 of Beowulf, and that was just an absolute I can't even really call it a train wreck, because it was just like nobody went to the Indiegogo.
So
like Erik called it a Coke and Pepsi comparison. I would call it more like Coke and Mr. Pibb. You know what I mean?
Oh wow!
Yeah,
He didn't even go Dr. Pepper. He went Mr. Pibb.
right.
Not even RC.
Serious.
RC.
Fago, it's the Fago Cola.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I would never do another Indiegogo. I mean, they would have to do some type of I would have to see some type of evidence that Indiegogo has greatly increased the number of users on it. I mean, you have to remember, I mean, we all know what Indiegogo is, but the casual shopper, like people who aren't diehard comic book people don't know what Indiegogo is.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended up going with Kickstarter. I did an informal survey just asking my friends, like, which would you prefer to use, Kickstarter or Indiegogo? And the number one answer I got was, what the hell is Indiegogo? So I don't have a lot of hope for new crowdfunding sources trying to get into the game.
Gotcha. Mark, what are your thoughts?
All right, so I actually had the head of Zoop on my show, and we had a nice little discussion about it. The thing about Zoop in particular, which I want to do, is that they do a lot of stuff for you, which I don't know how to do, so that makes my life better. He did say that they do promote all the books on their site because they're so small. They have that ability to make sure everybody's on the front page, make sure everybody's promoted multiple times, multiple things. However, he did say, we're not here to get the crowd. You have to bring the crowd for yourself. And the other thing is that just me learning about Kickstarter, because that's where I wound up doing it. A lot of my friends and family, when I say, hey, I have a book out, like, oh, I can't wait to get your book. I can't wait to try the book. But then when I go, oh, here's a link for you to sign up, or here's a link, you have to register to pay for it. Like, oh, that's too much. I just want to press the button and buy. So a lot of people don't even know about that. It's like, what, I have to register to give you money? Why can't I just give you money? Why can't I just hit the PayPal link and give you the money for the book? So that's the issue right there.
Yeah.
Totally. I have friends and family, even comic book readers, who don't really get the crowdfunding thing, and it's like walking them through just the unique ways that crowdfunding works. Like, yeah, you have to fill out a survey, or else you don't get the book, and we're not a success unless we hit 100%. Like, all the concepts of it is new to a lot of people, just at a basic level.
And that's a 5-minute conversation, bare minimum, to explain to somebody, as opposed to go there, press that, I get your money, you get the book.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And then they freak out. They're like, oh, I got to wait how long to get it? Right.
I mean, I still have to explain to people what Kickstarter is.
100%.
Like nobody's gonna go sign up for a Zoop account just to buy Beowulf. As much as I love Beowulf and think it's a great comic book, nobody's going to sign up for a Zoop account just to get a copy of that.
So, I mean, isn't that the fault of the platform itself, is that it's not self-explanatory on how someone who doesn't know anything about it can use it? Like, if you send someone a link and they click on it and their first thing is like, what do I do? Then that's a failure of the product, of not being able to explain to someone what they need to do if they've never seen it before. Like, I shouldn't have to spend 10 minutes explaining to someone how to click a link. It should tell them, is this your first time here? Click here. This is what you need to do. There should be explainers on there.
There are certain campaigns that you see post that how-to in the body of their campaign, but sometimes it's so far down, it's like it's lost. How many newbies are going to go searching for that? Right? The rest of the panel, you guys are hitting this on the head. With that whole registration process, right? I don't even use Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I just tell people who are outside of our community, sign up for my pre-order. Here's the pre-order for my book. It gets the conversation rolling that much quicker. But one of the beauties, even though there are still people who are pissed off that Boom Studios used Kickstarter for the Keanu book and for the Power Ranger stuff, you know what? It brought in a ton of people to register for that platform, right? They did a lot of work for us, and people don't get that. And that's something that the other platforms have yet to do. They have yet to have that big name, that type A credibility, whether it is a celebrity-driven product, whether it is a premium publishing brand, bringing their people into it, right? Look at Eric July, right? We go back to the basis of this whole thing, and it's crowdfunding. He didn't even use a platform, right? He did it off Kickstarter because he brought the crowd with him. Look at C. Spike Trotman. She's moved beyond that, right? She funds everything on her own, on the Iron Circus platform herself, because she has her own crowd that followed her. We're using Kickstarter because the majority of us are still looking for our crowd. We've got a handful of people, but we don't have that beaucoup people following us that we're hoping to cultivate on a platform like Kickstarter.
I want to jump in on something that Marvin said. It is the fault of the platform, because if you think about it, and anytime there's a tragedy, you hear about the GoFundMe page. You just what's the GoFundMe page? Just go there, boop, press the button, done, simple.
Yeah.
Heroin Bird says what IGD does has a different audience. If you don't cultivate that audience, you won't be supported there. Billy Tucci does both of them just fine. I've just backed both Kickstarter and IGG. Okay, I missed the first part. I don't do crowdfunding campaigns, but I have to disagree about IGG. Mr. Pibb, it's number 2, but it takes a lower percentage and puts campaigns in demand, which Kickstarter does not. And then, there's a second half of that. I mean, look, Indiegogo, I've been on there a number of times, and it's always, like I said, it's a rough mistress. You know what I mean? It says you go to kiss her, and she punches you in the eye. It's one of those things. You got to bring your crowd with you. If you don't bring your crowd with you, you're not going to get anywhere with it. And it's rough. It's really, really rough. But I made a few $1,000s on here, so I can't complain that much. I haven't done it, I don't know, maybe a year or so, but I think maybe in this upcoming year, I'll probably throw out another campaign and see what happens. But it is something that you have to work at. I mean, that particular platform you got to work at to really make it happen. So I hear you. And I mean, as far as like Zoop, I find it cool that they go out and they actually promote the books. I see their posts on Facebook. I see their posts. I think I've seen their posts on Twitter, but I definitely on Facebook, I've seen them posting for the various campaigns that they're supporting. Backer Kit, I think, is probably the one that's going to have the deepest reach, because so many people have already used that platform, and their mailing list must be incredible.
Yeah.
And if they go into the business of, look, you come onto our platform, we'll open up our mailing list, or we'll put you on the top of the page, or we'll put you on the page with everybody else's stuff, and we'll put you out there, they might be able to make something happen, because that mailing list I'm pretty damn sure it's deep.
Right. I mean, this is also gives Kickstarter opportunity, because if they're running solo like this, they need major competition.
Oh, hell yeah.
So if that competition comes, then I'm pretty sure we've all sent emails to Kickstarter asking them why they don't have an in-demand process like Indiegogo. Why do we have to go to another platform like BackerKit to do this? Also, why do we not know who's following those pages? Like that's good information for me, because now I can target newsletters and emails to those people, asking them, what is it going to take you to click that link? I only turned over 25% of the people who were following my page.
That's still a good number, dude.
Yeah,
that's a good fucking number, man.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, my thing is if I can incentivize those backers, so I could just be like, listen, you sign up, and you'll get a special card or print that'll come along if you order physical, and if you order digital, I'll throw in like a screensaver or something. I mean, so you can incentivize that, and I agree that's valuable information that we're not getting. Although Indiegogo does give you that information.
Yeah. So that's gaps that Kickstarter needs to cover up, because once there's competition in the game, they don't have any competition right now. They're running by themselves. They're like you said, they're Amazon. No one can compete with Amazon. But if you don't do what your customers are asking you, then you become Diamond, and then people bail.
Right. But right now, that's the hook. That's why we need them, because we don't know who those people are, and we know they can target them for us because they've already registered to that platform, and they can reach out to those people. I would kill to convert 100% of the followers that I had. You know,
you get 100%.
No, dude, you had 25. I had 19.
Oh,
you know?
okay. I mean, but right, like that's what I was saying, is that if you, there was like 300 people following, and only 25% of those people I converted, but I still had 150 backers. So I mean, that's good. That's good. I mean, I emailed them about it, and they said, "Oh, it's something we've been thinking about for a while." But now they have influencers. So like, if you know who those influencers are, you saw the list. Like, Kat's one of them. So I'm going to be poking her continuously. Kat, get that list. Get that list for me. Get that list for me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, George Medina managed to convert 50% of his list when he did it.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did was he says, you sign up and send me an email.
Okay.
And then he would list all those people in an email. And then if you back, if you just send me the email and I'll send you a free PDF. And if you back, I'll send you a free print of that same image. Okay. And that's how he was able to convert. And that's what I'm saying. You can incentivize it.
Right.
And that's the thing. They're not allowing us to incentivize that process. And that's something that, that I think we should all, look into.
Right. What I say is that keep poking the bear on that one and get them to turn that over, because there's no reason why you shouldn't know who's following your page.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, in the end, I think what it is they're building their own lists, and we're doing it without the benefit of having that list available to us. Right. We're bringing new customers, and they're like, okay, these are all new customers, and so it's one of those interesting problems. Did you ever do the survey for them? Because I always do the survey. They always list these things for them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I emailed the person, I forget her name, the one that's in charge of the comics for them. I emailed her directly. I said, please get this up. She said it's something that they've been talking about, but I mean, and the in-demand thing is something they've been talking about. But I'm like, do it, because you want to get ahead of the game. You don't want to wait until BackerKit does it. And
it seems like they talk about a lot of stuff for a really long time.
Well, I mean,
they need to stop talking and do some action.
But I think that's why they started doing these influencer things and bringing these other creators in to push the buttons on that kind of stuff. But like I said, is that you don't want to be down. You don't want to wait until your big customers bail to go somewhere else before you decide that, oh, now we want to do a store on our website where you can order comics.
Right. And I mean, it took them a while just to get the add-ons.
Yeah.
And I think the add-ons are a huge plus. I mean, I've done well with them. So
yeah. So add-ons helped out a lot.
Yeah. Mr. Rosario, you're up, sir.
All right. Bear with me because this question has some layers to it. Yesterday I was at my godson's birthday party, and in the gift bag was one of my books, and here are the kids reading my comics, and I'm like, wow, this is what I want, right? Problem is, I have a $5 price point on the book. These kids aren't going to buy those books, so are we outpricing ourselves in search of higher margins, in search of trying to stay in business, in search of trying to be competitive, in search of trying to fund the next book? Are we dooming the future of independent publishing by having higher price points on the books, which are increasing? And I have to say this, on my next campaign, I'm going from a $5 price point on a book to a $10 price point, but that's going to have the shipping baked in. I already had the shipping baked in on my last book, but on a $5 price point for a full color book, 32 pages, shipping was about 9 ounces. Medium mail was 3 and change, so let's round that up to $3.50. Packing tape, bag, board, and mailer, let's round that up to another $4.75. Let's call it $5, right? So I was pretty much giving away those single issues for free on my last campaign. So I have to say to people, it's $10, but $5 is going to be shipping baked in. So going back to the question, is the market outpricing itself for the future?
All right. Erik, you're up, sir.
So I would say no. And I think there's a few reasons there. I think the idea of cheap print is like something from the past, right? We bought cheap comics at the pharmacy and the grocery store because we lived in a very print-driven culture at the time. Mm-hmm. There was more paperback books than you find in some bookstores in my pharmacy when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Everything was print. I bought print classified magazines that are now Craigslist. You know, the whole world is digitized. So the idea of a print thing is more of a novelty than it was when we were buying stuff at 7-Eleven for $1 or whatever. So, you know, I think that The digital way is maybe a path for like a lower threshold entry point, right? You could price your digital copy at 99 cents, and that's a real easy, thing to entice. I find with the print editions, the people who are looking for that, like, first of all, we're not running ads in our comics. We don't have the margins of like a Marvel or DC, that volume number. So I found that I think the audience gets that. And I've been really transparent with my audience about, look, paper costs are crazy. Like, even finding a publisher who can fulfill my books a printer who can fulfill my orders has been the challenge. So I think people get that, and they've even seen delays at the big 2 level. But yeah, I know there's some different, publishers out there that have done like cheaper books. I've published some short. I have like a 4-page comic that was like my first indie comic, and then a 16-page comic. I pretty much let those go for $1 or $2 when I'm at shows. So, it's definitely not making money on that. But on my current stuff, on Lady Dark 1 and Lady Dark 2, my price for the basic cover was $10, and for the variants it's $20, and it's really just based on the sort of exclusive nature of it, and the fact that, like, all of us here are pretty much a one-man band, and we're kind of doing, and it's an impossible thing when you think about it. We're replicating what comic companies in the 80s did with a headquarters in New York City. We're doing it from our spare rooms and with our computers and with networking people all over the world. So I don't
But
think
if you're mentioning that, though, we also have to say we don't have to pay for the infrastructure that they did either. Being the one-man band does save us a couple shekels in the long run.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not getting rich from this. I'll put it that way. My goal is to get the story out there, and to do that, it's like it definitely falls in a more premium end of the price spectrum for me personally, and that's the way I've been positioning it. It's found an audience, which is good. I would love to see more comics everywhere for sure. But I feel like that's a rock for the bigger publishers and bigger media companies to how about if everybody who goes to see the next Marvel movie gets a free Marvel comic with their popcorn? Why isn't that happening? Disney's got the money to do that. That would be awesome. And then I think there's like a rising tide effect from something like that, to see more kids reading comics. And then, for me, like, I remember I got Spider-Man at the pharmacy. And then over time, I would see comics at like a yard sale, go through it. And then there was like Grendel and Dark Horse stuff. And like, that's how I discovered the broader world of indie comics. Right. So it's like, I think that having that swing, powered by the big 2 would be awesome, to see more of that. I feel like we're seeing less of that. Right. I feel like we see comics in less places, which is a shame.
Yes. Because of one of the reasons is the price point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel.
Peter, what are your thoughts?
Wait. Erik, I have to throw that in there. I used to work in a movie theater, and we had given away comic books at times. The reason that they don't give away comic books is because when the movie's over, the floor is littered with comic books.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I'm sure there's other human waste on most movie theater floors as well, mingled in with the comics. So.
Oh, wow. Peter, what are your thoughts?
I don't think we're pricing ourselves out. Everything costs more money now, and kids are paying triple or more for video games and whatnot. Like, comics are sold cheap in the big spectrum things. And it's quality, as opposed to, like what I grew up on was newsprint and cheap as possible printing. And we're also not dealing with monthly comics. So it's not like I'm paying, $25 for a comic every month in, month out. It's just when they, get the next book out.
Grant, you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, I guess my thing is, are comic books expensive? Yes, but what is the alternative? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it cost me about $2 to print each copy of comic books. The comic book that with the numbers that I'm doing, with shipping, it's a little bit over $2. I mean, really, I need to sell. I mean, I give comic book stores a little bit of a discount so that they can make some money too. But really, I mean, you know, I can't go much cheaper than $5.
Understood.
So, and still make a profit. So, you know, we can sit here and complain about the fact that comic books are so expensive, but and I mean, and it is also, I can see why comic books are becoming more niche, because I mean, for the same price as 2 comic books, you know, people can get a Netflix subscription, you know.
No, $16.
It's okay. So
Amazing.
comic books, yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Marvin, you got any thoughts on that?
Oh, you know I got thoughts on that. So I mean, to me, it's all in with somebody value. I've seen people say that comics are too expensive, or 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they cost $1.25. Yeah, well, whatever on that one. 40 years ago, they were a quarter or 75 cents. So costs go up, inflation happens in every business. So costs are something that's going to go up. So when you say that we're pricing ourselves out, aren't most of the Marvel DC books are $5 now, right?
Yeah,
$4.99, $2.99. Yeah.
And Marvel is still selling their books at $3.99, and even though they're using cheap paper, they didn't lower the cost. So, I mean, what's the value of that book you're holding in your hand? Someone might say that it only took me this long to read it. How long did it take you to drink that cup of coffee that cost $8?
Right.
So, I mean, if you're willing to go out and and patron Starbucks, a multinational corporation, and give them your $8 for your grande, then there's no problem with you buying a comic for $5 or $6. I mean, that's what it costs. Like, it's not like Grant said, it's $2 to print it. It's more than that to ship it. So you're paying for someone who could use that money over a corporation that doesn't need it, where you can make that same cup of coffee at home. You can't make a comic book at home if you don't know how. You can make a cup of coffee though.
But I want to go back to something you touched on with Marvel and stuff like that. They're selling to the direct market. They're not even selling to Barnes and Nobles or they're limited in the outlets. So yes, they have to increase their margin, right? But
right. I mean, so just for that point is that, like, I'm pretty sure that some of these stores would like to carry comics because it could help them to move other products and things like that in the stores. You're standing in line. What did you used to see? Archie comics on the rack, or other magazines that someone would pick up while they're standing there, and they'll probably won't put it back down if they enjoyed it. But like you said, it's that the cost to not only to the consumer but to the creator is a hamper to you, because I mean, you remember that Peter was doing from Alterna was doing newsstand and things like that, and they would returning all his books to him, and that's a cost. And all they had to do was return the cover, because with a newsstand, they don't have to return the whole book to you. They have to return the cover, and they get a refund. So even if they say I didn't,
a full refund or percentage?
I believe it's full refund. I have a contract from a newsstand. I'll look it up, and I'll see if he can give me a new one, because I actually talked to a guy about doing newsstand distribution, but them being able to return it by just returning the cover is a hurdle for me. Like, you're destroying that product. I can't do anything with it if you destroy it, and then I have to return money to you. So I'll look at it and I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I mean, how do you it's a barrier you have to cross, and you have to figure out, if you're going to return it, how do you return it so then I can take it and give it to someone else?
I got an answer for you when we're done with this.
I think that's where we need to look at, is that if we want to cross those barriers, those deals have to be viable for us too, not just for the person who is in the middle of that.
Right. Okay.
Cool. Wait a second, hold on. Mark, before you answer, let me put up some of these things in here. Hirenberg says Trotman and July are different levels. Poorcraft raises 13K or 23K on a campaign with a total of 2.5 mil on 30 Kickstarter pages before she bailed. Rippaverse has so far raised $3.4 million on one single campaign.
Because he came with Rippaverse. Eric July came with a crowd, and Spike cultivated that crowd. We got to remember that part of the equation.
Yep. He says, you're not dooming yourself with $5 and $6 price point. Everything costs more. I just promoted a $12 to $15 concert on Friday night, and nobody at the door blinked at the price. It was what it was. Inflation.
Right, but like he says that for the most part, no one is going to question you if you say it costs this much. For the most part, you may have a few when people say, "Oh, that's expensive," but I mean, how much is a print? And it doesn't. And there's no pages to a print. You charge more for a print than you do for a comic. Why is that?
Right. And prints cost 25 cents, even 11 by 17.
So why is that? Why can you do that, but you can't? I mean, it doesn't make sense. That's right.
You know, I think you're highlighting something really interesting, in that probably all of us bring some baggage to this as comic people, right? Where comics had this almost disposable nature in society, and like, you know, they were cheap, they were sold on the newsstand. It was like, you know, you buy it with a newspaper and just throw it in a pile or whatever. That's kind of how they were treated. But if you flip it around and modernize it, and you start to look at indie comics as like independently produced art, we're probably all way under pricing our stuff, right? I mean, people are out there selling JPEGs of apes for tens of thousands of dollars and stuff, you know. And it's, I think, like, you know, we're producing original IP, which is probably the most valuable commodity in entertainment right now, all of us here. And you know, we're hand wringing about, geez, I'm sorry, I have to charge $10 for a copy of this. You know, we probably shouldn't be. We should probably be charging even more. I mean, when you consider this stuff is not supported by ads, not supported by volume, you know, this is bespoke, artisanal comic book art that's being created here.
But it's also not getting into the hands of the wider public.
Yeah. Well, that's the boutique nature of it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. All right, hold on. He had another thing to say. He says, what we as his indie genre are replicating is the black and white scene from the 80s. Self-publishing, contacting stores directly, doing conventions. The tricks use as few middlemen as possible. Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's why you got to bring Thunberg on the show, so he's not sitting in the chat typing away. He can come and say things on the show.
Listen, I'll bring him on next week if he wants to come on. I got a slot for him. Okay, you know. And Marvin, before did I? All right, we'll see. Chris F says Disney Plus, and then Rabbit Mercer says, Chris F, are you saying Disney Plus is superior to print entertainment? And he says, no. Someone said $10 can get your Netflix replay. Was no, that's $16 today.
Yeah, Disney Plus for the triple play package is $13 right now on sale. Without the sale, it is $19 a month.
Right, but they're getting ready to raise their price in November. Yeah. So I mean, you start low, and once you get someone hooked, it's like drugs. You get them hooked, and then the price goes up as you go.
First one's free.
Yeah. So exactly. So I mean, is that how we blew our market? Is like we get someone hooked on something, and you steadily raise the price when they're not looking.
Well, let's work it around. We were up to Mr. Mark. What are your thoughts on it?
As most of you know, I used to work for Blockbuster for 10 years, and despite the fact that they are almost fully out of business, we used to raise the prices all the time. And when customers came in, they used to tell me all the time, I can't believe I'm paying so much money for these tapes. And what they do, they just kept on paying it. So that's how much the prices were. They complained about it, but they still paid for it. So it's the same thing with movie theater ticket prices and comic books. Everything goes up. People are like, I can't believe I'm paying for it, until it gets to that breaking point where like, all right, it's too much for me right now. I'm going to go find something else. So I think comics is in that range of, okay, it's sometimes maybe a little high, but it's in that range that people are still willing to throw out some money for it and complain about it.
Okay.
You know, the last show I did, a lot of people came by, looked at the comic, and they were like, yeah, cool. Comic was priced at $10, and, you know, took a year to make. Poured my heart and soul into it. Then I made some T-shirts, mostly just for me to wear at convention. Had a couple on the table, sold a bunch of those, when are you going to get more T-shirts? I'm like, man, why am I even doing these comics?
Right,
I'm just
and
gonna start
you have
doing
higher margin on that.
it's a value thing, right? The perception of a comic book versus like they're like $25 for a T-shirt. Yeah, no problem. $10 for a comic. Yeah, I'll be right back. Let me go get a hot dog first. You know, and it's it just I'm sitting there thinking like I should just have all T-shirts here.
Right.
So it is funny, and I think the price point thing remains sort of mysterious as we
and that's a hot dog, which probably costs $9.
right exactly.
So I have no problem spending $9 on a 50-cent hot dog, but I can't buy this comic book that's $5 that costs me $2.50 and to travel to get there. So yeah, I mean it's the mindset of what people are thinking in their heads of this is something that I will willingly pay for, but if I'm not going to buy it, that hot dog sounds good.
Well, I think
they don't blink at the price.
No, what you might want to do is bake in the cost of the comic into the T-shirt. So whatever they buy a T-shirt, you give them you hand them a comic.
You get the comic for free. Yeah.
I do that at shows.
I'm gonna sew it on the inside. They're gonna put it on. Be like, what is this? Rip it open, comic book, boom. Now I got you. No, it's you know, I think finding people that like to read comics is like it's not that mass market thing that I think all of us grew up with. Even at comic conventions, so many people there are
because it's not as I feel. It's in my opinion, it's not as accessible, right? It's fed into the direct market, and I mean, how many comic shops are out there in the greater part of the country? Here in Manhattan,
it's less than 2,500.
How many?
Less than 2,500.
Less than 2,500. Okay.
During the 90s, there were over 10,000.
Look at that. And so, all right, in Manhattan, there's 9 shops on the island. In Brooklyn, New York, I think there's 3. In Queens, I could count 5. I don't know about the Bronx and Staten Island. But I mean, we're limited in reaching the audience, right? We're limited. That's one of the reasons we're doing crowdfunding, right? Because we're trying to reach a wider audience. So, Jose, Calderon, chime in down here, bud.
All right. Well, here are my thoughts on it. I mean, yes, the books are expensive, but the thing is that I think everybody on Kickstarter understands what you're doing is you're supporting a creator, right? I think that's if you're at a point where you're like, oh, I'm charging too much. You got to remember the fans who are buying from Kickstarter, they already know this is a luxury item, and I'm going to pay a premium. This is a premium item. That's why when I do a campaign, my books are limited edition. They come signed. So you're getting a limited edition. This is going to be one of 250, one of 500, so on and so forth. And they know they're getting something, that's limited in that scope. So if I reproduce it, it's going to be different. It's going to be a trade. It's going to be in color. It's going to be foil stamped. It's going to have a different cover. Something's going to be different, but it won't be the same thing. So the one you have is special, right? And I think that's important for us to make that distinction for the fans. It says the one you're getting, that's special, and this is only a few people are going to get this, right? And that way they understand. And I mean, I don't have a problem. My books are $10 a pop, plus $6 shipping. I usually offer $2 2 books at a time. So you're paying $20, maybe like $5 or $6 shipping, and that'll cover, whatever. I just saw another creator, he was complaining about, shipping rates and everything else. I think he's shipping first class, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, it's $10. You're going to ship it, you got to charge for it. And most fans will understand. I mean, it might get to a point where maybe we have to break up those shipping tiers and be like, look, I can either send it this way or this way, and then you can choose how you ship them. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't understand. Using media mail, the book, you can ship comic book and media mail. It just cannot contain any ads at all, right? Bookmarks, trading cards, that does not count for media mail. So that you have to send it priority. Post office really doesn't do first class. All right, so I want to add one more wrench to that question, right? And we don't have to go into this whole debate, but I don't know how many people here know Dollar Tree started their own comic book line recently, right? And there was a book coming out called Final Faction. It is a property that they own themselves, but Dollar Tree has over 16,000 locations. Who here on this panel wouldn't love to make up in volume, right? by coming out of pocket $5,000 to reprint some of their old product at over 20,000 units to get into stores like this. There you go. There you go. See, that's Dollar Tree's line of toys.
So they have a whole thing. They've got toys. They got a
have
comic. That's awesome. That's great.
So I mean,
Nice.
I would reprint my stuff in newsprint to reach a per unit cost of 25 cents per unit to get into Dollar Tree, to expand my audience, not audience base, my chance of an audience acquisition. I mean, over 16,000 locations. Marvin, you said yourself, there's less than 2,500 comic shops out there, right? We're fucking killing ourselves, man.
Well, I mean, if you remember, I posted some of that stuff in the network group about the stores that brand me or something like that, or ran something like that. I posted it in the group where you can talk to those stores, the buyers from those stores about that kind of stuff. So I mean,
send that to me again. I don't remember seeing that.
Okay.
But I mean, I've got I got the vendor application. Fuck, man, I'd kill. Yeah, man, I come out of pocket $5,000 to print up 20,000 units at 20 cents a pop in newsprint, full color, 24 pages.
Would you
expand my chance at a wider audience?
Would you like to do the math on that first?
I did the math already.
Because it's not $5,000.
25 cents times 20,000 units.
No, hold on. You said they had 16,000 stores.
Right. That was prior to knowing they had 16,000 stores.
Oh, okay. So if they have 16,000 stores, they're going to want at least 10 copies per book per store. So 160,000 books.
I doubt I'd get anything less than 25 cents a unit right now.
No,
right?
You might. Well, at 160,000 books, you might get 20 cents a unit.
Okay,
and then you're talking
about that money in volume.
$32,000.
Right, you're making pennies. You're making pennies per unit. You're making it up in volume, and Marvin, to go back on your returnability a statement before. You know what? Forget about doing the cover. Ship them out polybag, so that way I can utilize it for something else later on down the road.
Yeah.
Right. If you're making that much money in volume, you know what? I'll take every quarter a drop shipment of return books, right, on 50% credit for your next order, and I'll reuse them. They're polybag, man. They're not damaged. They're not fiddled through.
Yeah. So I mean, if you've seen the Final Faction books in Dollar Tree, they are polybag.
Yes.
And it's like they put it into a box on the shelf with, like, they have action figures. There's vehicles.
Right. Are they $1 or $1.25?
$1.25.
See, look at that, dude.
Yeah.
There's a better chance for us, man. We could probably earn 50, 60 cents a unit, maybe, if we're lucky.
Well, here's like, I'm gonna just I don't want to rain on your parade, but I'm gonna poke holes in this.
No,
right?
go ahead.
You gotta understand.
Developed in the last 4 or 5 days.
Right. You work retail. I work at a big box retail, so I'm a manager. So you got to understand. He says, you're going to ship them. You ship them to a main central unit.
Yes.
Right. Hub. They separate. They sort out these things. Yes. They send them out to all the separate stores. The separate stores get them. They put them out on the shelves. Okay. Yes. Now all that stuff, time, effort, energy, money. Okay. Usually work hours. Then if your stuff doesn't sell, the coworkers there have to scan it, catalog it, and then ship it back. So that means that's an extra step for them.
Yes.
They have to, is that company going to be willing to take on that extra expense and ship it back to you?
We don't know.
You understand. They're more than happy to say, well, we'll destroy it. Right? Because I have product that I could either send back, or I can destroy, or I can put in clearance. If it's destroyed, I can usually put it in clearance. Right? So that's the thing. If I send it back, though, then however you want to phrase it, is going to incur another cost when it gets returned. You understand? Like, instead of getting back, we might have to pay 25 cents per book. Like, you know what I mean? If you're getting a return instead of getting, 20 cents. And then are they prepaying you on this? Are you getting a payment out every 6 months? Right?
Oh, right now, that's all speculation. That's something that has to be negotiated.
I know, but
right. But numbers,
that's what we're doing.
Numbers don't lie. Right. And those are the numbers to those are the numbers for newsprint, bulk printing, right? Offset printing, right? That's full color numbers right there.
Right.
So that's what I'm basing this statement, this initial concept on. Not anything that much more in depth, because this is something I've only been talking to you since Wednesday about, right?
Yeah, I know.
So there's a hell of a lot more to follow up on.
And I got to break your chops about it. So
yeah, but it goes back to, and this is something that Marvin and we talk about this a lot, and it's exploring outside of the current boundaries, and so many others are not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You guys are in New York, right? The two of you? You guys
we're in New York.
Yeah, this is a very New York conversation. You guys are busting chops, talking price points and shipping and middleman. It's like, yeah, this is New York.
What they don't talk numbers in Massachusetts?
No, they do. Yeah, no, but there's just a certain quality to it that it's like distinct New York. I picked up here. So.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, yes, we are creators, right? We're making funny books. We're making comics. We're exploring our dreams, and we're trying to make a couple pennies off of it, if that. But we're also limiting ourselves, I feel, and we're feeding into, I hate to say this part, a dying market, man. If we are pricing ourselves out right now, how many people are going to continue paying $10 a book in the future if we're not revitalizing the entire comic books community?
So,
yeah, great.
So back to where this question started. You were talking specifically about going to a little kid's birthday.
Yes, this was yesterday. I was at my godson's birthday. Yes.
So most of the discussion so far has focused on adults reading comic books.
Okay.
So, and I think that's a good point, which is that is comic books becoming something that only adults can afford to do?
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm not going to lie to you, it makes me very sad that 10-year-olds are getting excited about the newest Xbox release. They're not getting excited about whatever the new comic book is.
Right.
I can tell you, I've tried to get my stepkids into reading comic books, and they make it seem like I'm trying to take them to the dentist. Like, it's beyond my scope of understanding why kids nowadays aren't into comic books like they used to be. But I think you're right. I think the price is a big part of it. Unless we can get printers to lower their price somehow, I don't see how we're going to lower our prices.
Understood. But if there is a market that is wider than the current outlets that we have, where we can make up in volume what we're trying to chase in margin, then there's an opportunity for maybe not just the kids, but mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, favorite aunt or uncle who, you know what, I can't afford that hard copy of a video game, right? But I could spend $10 buying, a couple books at Dollar Tree, where I pick up the dollar birthday card already before I head to the kids' party, and have that there for them in the lap. And maybe some of those kids are going to discover something, right? Currently, that is not an option, because how many moms, dads, grandma, grandpa's favorite aunts and uncles are stopping off at the comic book shop to pick up a couple copies of X-Men, Spider-Man, or Batman for the kids before party?
Right.
Nobody. It's a special store, right? No, I can't think of any other product that's only sold in a certain store, right? Like besides comics. So yeah, I totally get. I think it's exciting to hear that the dollar store has their own proprietary comic book line for the exact reason you say. Some kid might, if it's like 0.1% of the audience that gets these things, like, hey, I kind of like this reading comics stuff. Where can I get more? I don't know about you guys, but I didn't set foot into a comic book store until I had been reading comics for like 10 years or something.
Right.
I was like, what? There's stores that just sell comics?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how old you are, Eric. Last a few weeks ago, we were talking about it, and in the early '80s, for me, it was the beginning of direct distribution, and it wasn't the stores that we got now. It was a fold-out table, with a guy smoking a cigarette behind a cash register, and long boxes packed on the shelves behind him, and books stacked up on the table. And all right, kid, just give me your money, get out of here.
Yeah. What do you want, George Perez? You here for George Perez? I got George
It's like, and if he had a van, I still would have bought the same fucking thing, because that's the kind of feeling I was getting then, right?
Now, hold on, Jay. Here's the thing for you, though.
Yeah.
Isn't the fact that because we're doing the same thing that our predecessors have been doing for years and years and years. There's been a thing that's been coming out that's been very successful for a number of years, making a lot of money. That's been basically eating our lunch. They've been saying this for a while. It's called manga. Now, is the fact that we are still doing comics in full color, right? Because manga generally is black and white and smaller and tends to be printed on garbage paper. So, and those price points, you get 120 book, 120 pages, 140 pages, $12, $13 now. They used to be 10, right?
And their output is a hell of a lot quicker than ours.
Exactly. So, is it that we are insane for consistently doing the same thing over and over again, right? Or are we losing, or have we already, like you said, do we need to find new markets? Do we need
to all of that?
Right. But the question is like, which one is better, right? Could we repackage?
It needs to be explored. It needs to be explored. And I think being the first one out of the gate is intimidating for a lot of people, myself included. Not knowing where to find a gate also is a fucking big factor, right? But until those other options are explored, all we're going to be doing is shrinking this niche that is within a niche.
Right. So I think that, and going back to what Grant was saying about kids not reading comics, and because one, they didn't grow up with it, and there was no other outlet for it. So we grew up with G.I. Joe, Transformers, Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends, and things like that, which were based on comics, which led us to comics.
Yeah.
Those mangas are based on animes, cartoons that are leading them to these things. There isn't any Saturday morning cartoon is leading someone to something else anymore, because they don't produce that kind of stuff anymore.
But it's not just that, Marvin. Bookstores, whether it's B. Dalton's, Barnes & Noble's, Walden Books, they had spinner racks in there.
Yeah.
Pharmacies, and I'm not just talking about the mom and pop pharmacy shops. I'm talking about the Walgreens, Dwayne Reed's. I remember going to Puerto Rico as a kid, and those would be in those pharmacies, dude. Supermarkets. We used to see at least Archie Digest, and even at the end of them carrying digest, we used to see Bone Digests.
Yeah.
In color, right? On the racks at the checkout counter in the supermarket. The outlets are not there anymore.
Right.
Why not? Why not? And prior to Jose and I being involved in this phantom deal that we were in, we had talked about this. We had been talking about how when you break down comic shops and you compare that against convenience stores, supermarkets, pharmacies, I mean, dude, conveniences, bodegas. God damn it, man. How many of them are on almost every corner in every state in the goddamn nation?
Right. So I mean, but you notice that, and I'm going to draw a blank on his name. The guy who does is it Maverick?
I don't know.
Maverick Distribution.
Oh yes.
So he's getting books into dispensaries.
Right.
So is that an outlet? Like, if I'm going to go get my weed, am I going to grab some comics on the way out? So I mean, I think that in this kind of thing is that can you cut out the middleman? Can you go to your local 7-Eleven and say, hey, would you guys be interested in carrying comics?
Right. Or can the fucking distributors that are out there already that are grasping at every ladder to maintain life find another outlet as opposed to the direct market that they're feeding into right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If there are all these, and I was not prepared for this part, so I'm sorry, but I do have the numbers of how many supermarkets, of how many pharmacies, of how many other retail locations broken down by genre, right, by discipline, are within the nation. Why the fuck are they not trying to reach those, dude?
Well, I mean, with if you're talking about Old Diamond, they're still stuck in their old ways. They haven't grown up.
Right.
And they never will. You got to understand, they already dominate this business.
Right.
They make a lot of money. They're already making a lot of money. They're not looking to shake that boat. They're not looking. They don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But what's going to happen with them is what happened when, going back to being in New York, what happened when Uber finally hit over here and all the yellow cabs were like, oh my God, they're going to be eating our lunch. They're going to run us out of business. Yeah, they're going to run you out of business because you were sitting on your high horse and feeling you had this whole thing unlocked and no need to innovate for yourself before somebody else started to eat your lunch.
Right.
And that's what happened with Diamond during the whole pandemic. They shut down our entire fucking market. And if anybody isn't scared enough to know that this shit was almost over 2 years ago, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you want to talk about gatekeeper. They were the only fucking gatekeeper, right? Peter Calderon, you go back, you know about how many fucking distributors were out there, right? Even the last big three at that time, but at least the competition was keeping the entire market alive, right?
Mhm. Adam Watson.
Who?
So, Harold just made another comment. Can you pop that one up from 816?
What?
There's
There's a bunch of them. I got to go through this.
Okay. It's the one that says over the past weekend at the con. Yeah, that one.
And I apologize for dominating so much, folks. It's not that. I'm just
That's
passionate about it, guys.
There's something I'm going to comment on. It's not video games anymore. It is casual, quick games on your phone, where it's free, but then you have to pay to win. It's the pay to win games. I don't even know if like video games really are pushing back into that smaller sector now too, because they're so expensive now. Like the newer games are $70.
Yeah.
For PlayStation and Xbox. They're cheap. They're a little cheaper on Steam, but I mean, nobody has a high-end computer. They're not going to buy that if they can just get a console and just pop in. And it's going to be Nintendo and PlayStation and things like that. It's going to fit in that gap. But it's more the games on your phone, and it's probably not even that. It's probably TikTok.
Right.
Right. But then when he said the $40 for the autograph, that's the problem.
Right.
Like I won't buy the $5 comic, but I'll have Carl Weathers sign my Funko Pop for $100. Somebody did that at the convention.
Right.
Look, I stopped going. Look,
I could see for Carl Weathers, but yeah, I see some of these. It's like $180 to eat a sandwich with the cast of Stargate Atlantis or something.
Oh, I remember one year at New York Comic Con, Sylvester Stallone, one day only, $400.
It was 600.
It was 600. There you go. It was a Saturday, and he sold out. It was gone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Whenever Bill Shatner shows up at the show, I don't even bother showing up.
So that's the value. Someone says that $600 is a value to me. They get Adrian to sign my whatever. So that's the value to them. So once you put into their head that this book is a value to you, so most of the time I'll pitch to them, it's a new product. It's not 60 years worth of this or that. You don't have to worry about what happened to Spider-Man on his 3rd birthday before he was in Spider-Man to get the story. And that sometimes that works. So, I mean, it's the built-in that you're starting this at the beginning with me. We're going on a journey together.
Yeah. But Marvin, the other side I feel of that coin is going to Dollar Tree and seeing a book up there for $1.25. Oh yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I got that, right?
I mean, it's to back that up. I was at the Dollar Tree Thursday, and some woman went out with a full cart, 3 carts filled with stuff.
Look at that, dude. Okay. Let's go to comic shops for a second. All right. Of those of us that still go to comic shops, how many people go to the dollar bins, which used to be the quarter bins? Because I know that's one of my first stops.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm finding 70s, 80s, even 90s stuff that I didn't have, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm eating it up, and I'm coming out of there with $10 to $15 of books.
Yeah.
Anything with a hologram. I'll take it.
So we were at Ollie's on Friday, and I actually found X-Men #1 in one of their poly bags. X-Men #1, #2, and #3 in their poly bags.
And you bought it for $1 each.
No, I didn't. I already have like multiples of those books. I didn't need any more.
Okay. But I mean,
No, but somebody's gonna come along and pick that up. It's not gonna last there.
All right, guys. We've been at this for a minute, so I got a lot in the chat. But before then, normally Mark will get a chance to ask a question. But Mark, we're gonna have to forego your question and just focus
I'm sorry.
on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. This is all Jay's fault. But we're gonna forego that, and we're gonna pull up your campaign. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, boy.
All right. There you go. So this is for you and Peter,
Go
man.
for
I
it.
mean, you guys, what's going on? What's going on here? Go for it.
What's going on? Well, we are on day 14 of this crazy thing. We've done so many streams that are all blurring together, but that's just the half of the story. This puppy is a product of 30 years of work, because I wrote this story about 30 years ago. It was drawn about 28 years ago. It was partially inked about 20 years ago.
Wow.
And here we are trying to get this puppy finally out. As I mentioned on one of the other streams, she's overdue for delivery. We got to get that baby born already. Let's get it out there. It's a story about two warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. That war comes over to the planet Earth, and our main characters, which are 5 humans, gain superpowers as a result.
Looks great, guys.
Yeah, it looks really nice. So, Peter, you were the editor on this?
Yes. The first issue is fully written, fully penciled, fully inked. This campaign will, I think the lettering is begun on this, but it's mostly to pay for the coloring, as well as the printing and shipping and all that. But yeah, it's like I met Mark back when small, and he was telling me this book. I saw the artwork and really liked the style, and he gave me a script which I read, and I was really impressed with the quality of it. It's 5 issues in all. It's a beginning, middle, and end, and I think anybody who picks this up will enjoy it for sure.
Ooh, look, scroll back. Look at that. Ooh, look at that stretch goal. What's in there, baby? What's in there, Mark? Yeah.
That is the first stretch goal. If we make goal, everybody gets some independent comics of people whom I know and whom you may know as well.
Yes.
And then we have other stretch goals we will add on if we make this one.
So support this book, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, a lot of awesome books in there. Tall Tales, Ego River, Memoirs of an Angel, The Oswald Chronicles, The Edge, Storm Chasers, awesome book, right? And who am I missing?
Memoirs of an Angel?
No, I mentioned Memoirs of an Angel.
Oh.
Yeah, Brian Rodman, awesome book. All right, cool. Well, let's see, you got a lot of great books in there, so Yeah. All right, very nice. Do you want me to play the video?
Each other out, baby.
You can play the video. It explains everything better than I ever could. Past Mark has explained this much better than present Mark can.
All right, here we go.
I think I hit the button. Super low.
Here's Francesco, also including Palmiotti. I will tell you a little bit about the book. Designate is a 5-issue miniseries that tells the tale of 2 warring alien races, the peace-loving Forlons and the warlike Duronians, fighting over a newly discovered power source, the Capricious Star. This war finds its way to Earth, and our 5 heroes, Natasha, Kelly, Chris, Adam, and his younger brother Ed, not only wind up caught in the middle, but each gaining powers as a result. Designated has been a passion project of mine for almost 30 years. It is a full and complete story, over 5-part series that is, and all 110 pages have already been written and penciled. With your support, you can help us get issue 1 colored, printed, and sent directly to you. Now, what Kickstarter campaign will be complete without perks? Not this one. We have a few items, such as digital and physical copies of the book, trading cards, original artwork, and a few high-end collectors out there, custom-made 5- and 6-inch clay figurines as the main characters by clay sculptor Shadow Rabbit. You can see more of his finished stuff at www.shadowrabbitart.com. As I have said countless times in my syndicated radio show, It Came From Radio, which can be heard on both terrestrial and online radio stations, as well as on over 40 different podcast places. If you're unable to financially support this project, like and share it on your social media platforms. Maybe someone else who would think about it will be able to help and be part of making this book a reality.
All right, cool. All right, nice.
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, you got what, 14 days left?
Yep, we are now midway point, home stretch, not even home stretch, midway point. So hopefully we can get over that hurdle and make it done, make it a thing. Like I said, it's been a long time since we tried to get this done. Pete's been sitting on this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. Goddamn long time.
It's been a long time, sis. You got to get that done.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So let's bring up another campaign, Mr. Grant. Beowulf is up.
Grant, you're muted.
Yes.
I'm muted. I told myself I wasn't going to be that idiot, and I did it anyway.
Happens to all of us, dude.
It happens to everybody. Exactly. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So Beowulf number 4 is at about the halfway point now. I'd like for it to be a little bit further along at this point, but it's all right. We still have a while to go. Issues 1 through 3 have all been profitable, and this is the story of the Beowulf that you guys all learned about in high school English class, but he's been reincarnated as a 30-something slacker. And his sidekicks are a 13-year-old girl and a magic cat.
So, okay. So this is the 4th issue in the series?
Yes, sir. 4th
Nice.
of 6.
4 of 6. Okay, that's what I was going to ask. All right, nice.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a follow-up and spin-offs and all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, so this storyline is going to be a 6-issue story.
Are the other issues available on the campaign?
Absolutely. We have catch-up tiers, and you can also add issues 1 through 3, both in digital format and print. After you, if you just want to get issue 4, and like let's say you already have issues number 1 and 3, but you don't have number 2, you can always just add that as an add-on.
Nice. Cool. Now, after the campaign is done, how long do you think it's going to take you to fulfill?
So everything for issue 4 is done.
Mm-hmm.
It takes about 2 weeks to get your money, and then it takes about another 2 weeks after that to print out all the stuff. So I'm going to say about less than a month and a half.
Gotcha. Now, this cat, is this like your cat?
Yeah, he's based on my real life cat, Mooney.
Gotcha.
So which tier is the one where you get the cat?
Not.
That's his.
You have to fight me to the death to get my cat.
And let me tell you, the cat would never have it any other way.
Exactly.
You want me to play the video?
Sure.
Hey everybody, I'm back to talk about Beowulf #4.
Oh, Father, let's stop beating around the bush. We both know people are just here to see me. Beowulf is an adventure that spans centuries, and as good as issues 1 to 3 were, issue 4 is the best yet. If you read any of the first 3 issues and liked anything about them, you need to read issue 4. Issue 4 has more emotion, more action. But what if you haven't read issues 1 to 3? Well, the trailer should catch you up.
Hazel always knew there was something special about her cat Moody, but she's still shocked when Moody opens his mouth to tell her he's just had a vision. An ancient evil has awoken after centuries of sleep, and only one man can stop it, the legendary warrior Beowulf. Unfortunately, it's been over 1,000 years since he slayed a dragon, and he's been reincarnated as this guy. His name is Victor, and he's more unemployed millennial slacker than mighty warrior.
And of course, if you missed issues 1 to 3, there's no way to get them. I jest. Of course you can get copies. There's a catch-up tier, or you can just get individual issues as an add-on after you pledge for issue 4.
So are you done talking about Beowulf #4, maybe?
If that's not enough to get you excited about this project, I don't know what more I can say. Enjoy the comic book.
Don't worry, Mooney got lots of treats after his big day of filming. Here's a photo of him and his best friend, Stitch, relaxing afterwards.
All right, cool.
Makes me wish I had my own talking cat.
All right, so you're at 1,600. You had 37 days to go. Did you?
Right.
Is this a 60-day campaign?
No, this is. I think it was a 40-day campaign. I'm trying to see if doing a longer campaign will help or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's kind of an experiment.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm trying to go in the opposite direction. I'm trying to go less days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get down to like 21, 20 days.
Yeah, don't, dude. You got a great head of hair. Don't pull any out during that valley period, brother.
I know. It's too late.
Shit.
It's too late for that one. I've had. Yeah.
I did a 5-week campaign on my last one, and it was like that 2.5 week middle period. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then the last 4 days, I almost doubled the money I'd done the previous 3.5 weeks.
Sometimes that's how it happens, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, you did a 5-day campaign, right?
Who did a 5?
Yeah, for retro.
Oh, okay.
Me.
How did that work out?
Yeah, it was every day I was streaming. Like I started with an 8-hour stream and ended with a 7, I think. And I was busy every day, just messaging people and posting, and it was incredibly busy 5 days. Brought in just under 2,000. I consider it a success.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, you do it in 5 days. I mean, you know, if you would have probably given yourself another 3 or 4 more days, you're gonna probably raise 3. I mean, which is crazy. You know?
Dude, when you look at it, bro, shit, $2,000, 5 days. That's not bad, man.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, it is time for Mr. Erik.
Yeah, so this is Lady Dark #2. We did issue 1 on Kickstarter last year. It was a great success. First time crowdfunding. You know, I've been doing indie comics for about 10 years now, doing anthology stories, printed a bunch of my own just out of pocket, you know, and decided to try this crazy crowdfunding thing. And issue 1 was a success, which was great. We were able to, you know, work with a bunch of different cool artists around the world to do variant covers and stuff. And So just wrapped that up and really kept the momentum going with issue 2. Jay, I'm glad to hear what you said about like that kind of middle period. That's where we're at now. Things have sort of plateaued a little bit. We're getting a trickle of things in after a really strong start. So I'm hoping to get a second wave. But yeah, it's Lady Dark's like next great indie comic book superhero. I kind of pictured a Spawn in high school type of situation. So it's like Spawn meets Ultimate Spider-Man. And issue 2 is awesome. The wide art is completely done, and we're about halfway through the colored art right now. So pretty much anticipate having the book done by the end of the campaign. And then it's, similar window to what Grant was saying. It's really just, processing Kickstarter, kick it over to the printer, have that do its thing, and, be closing out the year by fulfilling Lady Dark 2 if we get there and we need folks' help. So pledge today. There's catch-up tiers as well with issue 1 that you can bundle in with it. And this issue, if I were to do it again, I'd probably call issue 1 issue 0. And this is the true issue 1. This is like all the seeds we planted and the stage setting we did in the first issue come to fruition here. And it's just like we turned the action up to 11. It's just full on action throughout. It's really inspired by like Invincible, it's Savage Dragon, that kind of like full on action adventure comic. The art is from this guy, Emilio Utrera. He's doing some stuff for Dynamite right now. Project Superpowers, Fractured States. He's on that book right now. And something about his art reminds me of like John Byrne's Superman or something like that. It's just like he's
it's a great look
with moving action on the page and stuff. So yeah, super excited to bring Lady Dark 2 out there, and hopefully we can get there. It's a tough drop off from issue 1 to issue 2, right? It's a steep hill to climb. So hopefully we make it.
Yeah, that's it's funny. I was talking to my wife about this, and like, she says she saw a definitive drop off from issue 1 to 2, and then it didn't start picking up till about 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Then it started ramping back up for her. So I thought that was very interesting. Do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, sure. Give it a spin.
Lady Dark #1 was a sensational hit on Kickstarter, with Laura Lennox and her mysterious dark powers taking readers around the world by storm. Now, Lady Dark and the entire cast of characters return in Lady Dark #2, featuring an all-star team of comic book talent: artist Emilio Utrera, colorist Arthur Hesley, letterer Micah Myers, and Lady Dark writer and creator Erik Radvon, continuing the epic saga. Lady Dark #2, more action, more mystery, more Lady Dark. Get in on the action. Back Lady Dark #2 today and continue the journey of the 21st century's next great comic book superhero. There are tiers for every kind of fan, from digital to exclusive limited edition packages. Thank you to the amazing Kickstarter community for launching Lady Dark. Join us with Lady Dark #2 as the hit saga continues.
Nice, really nice. All right, now, not as a knock on anybody else, but Grant had it correct. Try to keep it under 60s. You kept it about a minute. Got to keep those videos under, close to a minute.
So it's funny you say that, JD. Listening to the conversation we had, and I played that conversation over many a times.
Right.
It was a debate to make the video shorter or to show that the pages were actually done. And to go against putting it and having a long page of having pages and people getting lost. So that was the debate. And I decided to go and keep it simple and just go for the video because it just shows me going through pages. So that was the logic behind it.
Well, let me tell you, you could look to my better half, Daphne. What she does is she puts together a page, like one comic page with all the pages on it, right? So it's like one thing, so you see all the pages all at one time, and they're thumbnail size. And she'll put all the entire book on there, so you can see the entire book is done. That's what I would have advised you do.
That's a graphic artist thing, and I have no computer knowledge
at all. You got friends. You know what I'm saying? You got friends. You can always make a call.
And somebody could have told me that when they looked over the campaign.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much I could do. The brain. I was looking at these things at 3 a.m. But what do you want?
I was gonna say douche, but I gotta find something stronger.
That's terrible.
Oh, you want something stronger? A friend of mine used to use the term douche lord.
Nice.
Douche lord. Nice.
All right. So Marvin, what do we got here?
I mean, you're just looking at the website. I mean, issue 5 is scheduled for release on August 24th, so we're just cranking them out now.
Nice.
So here they can what is that? Sign up for your newsletter?
Yep, that's the newsletter sign up.
All right, cool.
You're gonna be doing the coffee thing again?
Yes. So we are probably going to do K-Cups next.
Oh, nice.
So the Kickstarter reward should be going out either beginning or the middle of September. So I'm waiting on stuff is being printed now. I'm about to send everything to the printer and be rocking and rolling.
All right, cool. And obviously,
what's this coffee thing? So you get actual coffee as part of the reward?
Oh, sure, yeah. Hold on.
What? I definitely want that.
So
when I had Marvin on the show, he had that. It was very interesting that he mentioned.
So once that Kickstarter rewards are out, I'll put the coffee up on what do they site for people who will.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Wait. You had Marvin on the show, Mark?
Yes.
You had Mark. I've known you how many years?
And what have I always told you? Reach out to me so we can get you on.
I don't know.
And there's a 2-month delay.
Listen,
how many times have we been on this show together? And I said that many times.
Mark,
Mark, tell him.
No recollection, sir.
Well, now it's on. It's being recorded. You're welcome anytime you want. Reach out to me, and there's a 2-month delay. So if you have something that's coming out now, it's not going to do you any good. It's going to be about 2 months ahead of time.
All right, so let's book you. Let's book me with you right now, so we can hit at the end of my campaign coming out next month. All right.
Your campaign's coming out next month. It's too late.
No, it's not because we're running.
If I do an interview today, that's not going to air until October, November.
Oh yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Oh,
See,
I have something else by that time, so we're good. So let's book it. Let's lock it in, baby. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it down.
What? I gotta drive to Long Island. Can I do an in-person one?
Man, see, this shows how much you do not pay attention to my show in any way, shape, or form.
Dude, I don't pay attention. Listen, don't be offended. I pay attention to anybody.
You don't pay attention to anybody, so I'm right with everybody else.
So
I should be insulted if you did pay attention to me, because then you would hate me.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm on JD's show all the time. I can't stand the motherfucker.
This is true. He came over to my house on Friday to drop off some books. You have no idea.
Work, bro. Yo,
huh?
He made me bring cases of books.
Yeah.
Right? A full Manhattan block to his house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all he did was open the gate and open the door and then open the basement door. And I'm like, yo, take one of these off of my hands, bro.
Yeah. I was like,
but I mean,
you gotta get your cardio in. We're trying to get those chins down,
Oh,
whoa!
Special. He's a
blow.
It's like you go to a friend's house and their parents start yelling at them in front of you, and you just stand there waiting for it to resolve itself. You're like, where's this going?
See, this is once again, Eric. This is a very New York conversation.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I'm not gay here though, because you treated him like DoorDash. You were like, you just leave it.
Treat me like DoorDash.
See ya. I don't interact with the help.
Actually, if he treated him like DoorDash, he would have tipped him.
Oh, that's
exactly.
True. Less than DoorDash.
I just sent them a PayPal payment, so there's the tip.
There you go. You got paid. That's your
bonus.
bonus.
Exactly. Then he's wearing that jabroni hat.
Hey, jabroni. It's matching. It's matching. Okay, great, bro.
I'm right there with you. I got my. This is the official hat of anyone in New England, basically. So
of the what?
This is like every scrub dude in New England has this hat, so I guess I'm right there with you.
Gotcha.
All right, cool. Now,
Where's New England? Where's that?
Like Massachusetts area.
Where's Massachusetts? Is that?
Oh yeah, it's
North. Go
the
up.
sixth borough. Yeah, it's outside of the bubble. Yeah, it's next to Nebraska. It's up there.
Sixth borough is Florida, my friend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, my mom was down there, so yeah, that's very true. A lot of Yankee stickers.
You don't understand. Rosario has a deep hatred of New England and deep dish pizza. So you know.
Yeah.
I'm with you on the deep dish. That's not pizza. That's another.
No, of course not. The casserole.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's slap. You know.
All right. So now we're back to our regular scheduled program. We look, all the campaigns look great.
Yes.
Everybody, please go ahead and support them. Now we're back to asking questions. Mr. Mark, go for it.
After all this, I already forgot my question. All right. I mean,
you don't write them down. There's this thing. It's called pen and paper, bro. It's not that high.
Oh no.
Whoa,
no pen and paper. Come on, I've been doing this for years. I don't need pen and paper. I'll pull a question on my butt. All right. So we were discussing about distribution. You kind of got to think about this like movies. Movie theaters, you're all movie makers. We're all trying to get it out there. What do you think would be, well, actually, the easiest question is, since there's no money in comics, why do you keep on doing it? Beyond the fact of need to create, what is your secondary reason for keep on doing it when there's no money in comics?
Interesting. I think we're up to Peter. You're up, sir.
I enjoy what I do. Is the easy answer. I've had highs and lows, and it hasn't always been easy. But what got me through it is I really just enjoy what I do. And I also enjoy the people in the community, the fans, every angle of it. And, I could get any, food place job and make more money, period. But I really like what I do.
That's fair. And you worked at Marvel and DC, right? Peter?
Yeah. DC, then Marvel for about 7 years, both of them together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Nice. Grant, how do you feel about it?
The thing for me is I think that comic books are the easiest way to get our ideas out to a bigger audience. Now, I hear what you're saying where there's no money in comic books, but when you think about how difficult it is to get things together for a movie, you know what I mean? Like if I was going to make Beowulf the movie, that's a lot more work, a lot more hurdles to overcome, a lot more, a much bigger budget, a lot more people involved. So, yeah, I mean, my goal is to get my ideas out there, and I think comic books are the easiest way. I mean, I guess I could really write a prose book, but to me, when I go to conventions and I see like the people who are trying to sell novels, that seems like such a much bigger sell, a much harder sell. To sell a $20 novel that's going to take you a week to read, as opposed to a short little comic book that's going to take you, half an hour to read.
Cool. Marvin, how you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I'll just reiterate what Grant was saying, is that it's the best way to tell the tale that you want to tell, because there's no other way in which you can do crazy people in spandex doing crazy things. I mean, you can do it in movies, but like I said, there's a lot of special effects, a lot of things like that. If you want to punch somebody in outer space, then you can punch someone in outer space in a comic if you want to. So, I mean, it's the freedom, I think, that allows you to keep going on that, whether you're making money or not.
Cool. Erik, got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, so every comic I do, when I get to the end of it, I'm like, that's the last one. I'm done with this stuff, and but I keep doing it. So I think there's two things. One, you just get bit by that comic bug. Some people get infected by it early on in life, and it becomes a lifelong thing. And I love movies, I love video games, I love all this other media, but the comics are like my main jam. You know what I mean? And they always have been. And I think there's a weird segment of society where that's the case. And there's just something special that happens in between those panels, when they're done right. And then the other thing is what the other folks were saying. Jack Kirby kind of said, like, you're working with an unlimited budget, right? He's like, I can do a double page splash that has 25 things going on that Hollywood can't replicate. And so I think when comics are at their best, they're delivering that kind of experience that is something totally unique unto the medium. I really like working with artists. I really love the energy of working with different artists and seeing those pages come in, seeing how they interpret something you wrote. And sometimes when it's like an exact thing that you thought in your head, it's incredible. And then when it's not, and they add their own twist, that's even incredible too. So the process side of it is really cool. But for me, it's not easy. It's tough. Like I'm working with art all over the place. It's expensive. It's like a high wire act. Now I'm a printer. I'm a shipper. I got stamps.com. I got postage scales. I'm doing all kinds of stuff that I didn't want to do. I just wanted to tell a story, and now I've got all these other disciplines on my plate. So that's an aspect of it where it's kind of crazy. But it is pretty cool.
Crazy. It introduced you to things that you never thought you'd be able to do.
It definitely stretched the the bounds of my spare room, right? For sure. But when you hold that physical thing in your hand, you're like, holy shit, I made this. That's pretty cool, So I think there's a little bit of chasing that. But every time I'm done, I'm like, that's it. That's the last one. Wrap it up. And then you get that itch like 2 weeks later. It's like, all right, what am I doing? What's the next thing? So it's still a struggle for me, but yeah, I keep going back to it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Mr. Rosario, what are your thoughts?
Because I'm not smart enough to know better. Comic books have been tied up to so much of my life. I don't know, I've taken so many different paths where everything I've done in life has been able to be applied to comics. Like Erik was saying, I was a retail manager at various storefronts. I was a vendor, so I understand those two aspects of retail. I'm in logistics right now, so I understand that. My dad, who I lost when I was 7 years old, introduced me to comics, and I remember some of those books that he got me. Going to my grandmother's house on the weekend for $2, I would go to the corner bodega and buy 4 books, 50 cents a pop. I wasn't reading the required educational books that were recommended by the school, but as long as I was reading comic books, my mom was happy with that, and she would encourage it. And we were poor. We were fucking poor. So that was affordable. I've had so many interactive moments with members of my family. I was a big Captain America fan as a kid growing up, and I remember Captain America 334, where you had John Walker and Lamar Hoskins on the covers, new Captain America and Bucky. I got that when I was in Puerto Rico, and my grandmother was Afro-Latina, one of my grandmothers. And I remember after picking up the book, she goes, "Oh, look at that. One of them looks like you, and one of them looks like me." Even though he was a guy, he had the big blowout, and she did too. And I'm like, I've got that bonding experience with her. My wife, she lives in Geek Space, right? And before the pandemic, we were doing so many different conventions together, going away together, and it was always centered around comic books. It has been my life more so than movies have, more so than toys or video games and stuff like that. Was I addicted to it growing up? Yeah, but I mean, without comic books, would I have met you guys? I don't know. I doubt it. I really fucking doubt it. I mean, Marvin's in Pittsburgh. Erik, you're in what, Massachusetts, right? Grant, where are you at?
Pittsburgh.
You're in Pittsburgh. Peter, where are you?
I'm in Kentucky, originally from New York, though.
Okay, see, look at that, dude. Mark, I know you're over here. We bumped into each other at conventions, a ton of times. Guys, it's introduced me to people and things I never would have thought of. It's opened me up to new experiences, and then the collaborative process. There is an immediacy to it. You can get back pages on the day, on the week, on the month, and then people interpret my scripts in ways I never would have thought of, which sparks something that I'm like, oh, can I fit something in? Can I throw another a page or two in the epilogue, or can I add something in the text, or is this a seed for me to apply in a future issue, which I never would have thought of. And there's not just the immediacy, but the closeness to it, right? If you're on a movie set or if you're on a TV set or whatever, there's tons of people. You're not really going to get to know your co-collaborators as well as you would with comic books. I have weekly conversations with the team at different points of the day and on different days of the week, and it's just like I love talking shop. I don't know how many times I've talked Marvin and Calderon's ears off, just talking shop with comics. Exploring some of the things that we were talking about today. You see, I'm passionate. I'm throwing up at the mouth right now. So that's why, right? There's no direct answer, but it's all of that.
All right. Fair enough. For myself, it's not much different than Rosario's answer. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and it's one of those things. It was the escapism of it. So I got to buy these comics in the candy stores. We had candy stores back then. That's how old I am. And I would get them and just read the comics and have a great time. And I think much similar to Jay is just that I focused my entire life on doing independent comics. And it's not even like I know people that work over at Marvel. I know people that work over at DC, and I've never pursued them to say, hey, give me a job, give me a chance, give me this. No, never. You understand? I went to a printing school so I could learn how to print books. But this was like a professional printing school with stripping and all this stuff, working on big presses and stuff, doing pre-press. And I mean, it was just on and on with that sort of thing. So it's very, very, so for myself, it's almost like in my blood. I started reading these things when I was 6 or 7 years old. My brother introduced me to them. He handed me the books, and it was just like, here you go. And he was just like, your favorite character is Thor. So of course my favorite character is Thor now, right? That's how that worked, and that got imprinted in my brain at a very early age. It helped that the comics were really awesome back then. That I got Keith Pollard, and I had all these great writers to go, great artists to go with it. Roy Thomas at the time was writing Thor, and then it went on, and a little bit later was Walter Simonson, and I got to keep going along those lines, just keep reading and just trying to find better and better creators. Frank Miller, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, blah blah blah, so on and so forth, and then tons of others. James DeBatteis, and it just keep building on that, and then also trying to get into the business and refine my own craft. Like I've told many people, I've said this many times. I worked professionally in the '90s for about 2 or 3 years, doing comics, and I have an appreciation for that type of work, and I'm going to tell you, if you ever get the opportunity to work for any of these companies, I say go for it. Because here's the thing. The one thing I learned was it's very interesting to work on somebody else's product, right? And have to work on a schedule, because those are the things. Because when you have to write not 1 book a month, not 2 books a month, but 3 books a month, boy, let me tell you, that'll kick the writer in your ass real quick. I mean, you will have to move fast and move hard, and you have to boom, 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 constantly creating, no second thinking. You understand? You're not going to have a time. I go through my scripts now. I'm going to pass 4, 5. How many passes I go through a damn script? I do listen. I got books that are printed. I'm going back. I'm rereading. I'm doing edits as I'm going through these books. And there's books that I printed 3 years ago, and I'm going back. I'm fixing those files for the next print run. Right. So you have that opportunity, but when you're working with somebody else, you don't have that, man. You got to go and go and go. And it's a lot of fun to do it that way. It's a lot of fun to do it the way I'm doing it now, but it's
you never like a script, right? Even Scott Snyder said when the trades were coming back of the Batman books, he was getting back in there and he was adding to the dialogue.
Exactly.
So it's never added. But JD, you were saying you went to a printing school, right? Erik had brought up how, he was opened up to things that he never thought he'd have to wear hats like that. Recently, Rich Johnson, not Bleeding Cool Rich Johnson, right? But now Rich Johnson of Diamond. He was I don't know if it was a professor or he taught an adjunct course in Pace University on publishing, and it was a top to bottom where the end of the course had buyers from whatever Barnes and Nobles, different retail markets, and the students in that course were being taught how to pitch to these retail outlets. And now that he's not there, that's something that is missing. That's something I think all of us in independent publishing, right? Because that's what we're fucking doing. Really need to know, right? And if you guys know of anything that's out there, I'd love to take it, whether it's a master class or not. Not the Duffer Brothers thing, just how to realistically, pitch your products outside of the creator community, and it's something I think places like the Kubert School or even School of Visual Arts out here in New York really should have, because I think even if they did online courses, I would love to jump on that, right? Because we're introduced to people we would never meet, and that's one of the things that Calderon's saying. Go to work at one of these companies, because one of the other things is you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what door they can open up for you later on.
Yeah. Peter Cimetti has a couple of videos on pitching. You might want to go check those out. I mean, he has some good ones. I have some interesting thoughts on Peter, but he is, I think he's genuine where he comes from. I think his love of comics is genuine. And definitely his advice on pitching is very good. So, Okay. So Mark, answer your own question, sir.
Excluding the need to create, I think it's that I don't want to die with the regret that I never got to do what I wanted to do.
Okay. That's fair. Hold on. I want to post this up, and we can all answer this question. This is directed at Erik specifically, though. Says, I have a question for Erik. What's the most important thing going into your second Kickstarter campaign? How did your approach change from the first time around, and what have you learned so far?
Wow. Very good.
Yeah, good question. I learned a bunch actually from the first time. My first issue 1 was my first campaign, so it was like tons of stuff learned. My main thing going into issue 2 was I wanted to really shrink down the fulfillment window. Right, it took us for a number of reasons, COVID and supply chain issues. It took us just shy of a year from the end of the campaign for issue 1 to getting that book out the door, and I didn't like that. I wanted to shrink that as much as possible. So I engaged with the artist early on, kind of took a leap of faith and had the pages, commissioned and the book pretty much done before we even launched the campaign. So that was lesson 1. And then, kind of all the infrastructure stuff like the shipping, supplies and the label printer. Like I've got all that stuff in place now. So it's like the machinery is built, just rock and roll. So learned a lot from issue 1 going into 2.
All right, cool. Peter, I mean, you did your first campaign. Yes. Now you're helping on this one. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, what have you learned between the 2 campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, like I plan to do possibly an Indiegogo before the year is out for retro. And I've been a part of a number of campaigns, not just with Mark, and yeah, each time I'm learning a little bit more, and I really want to make it as polished as possible, but also as full as possible. Meaning, like, I want to add more tiers, more more stuff on the page, and more visuals, and I've been really, really, really impressed with a lot of campaigns I've seen just in the last year. And yeah, it's going to be a goal of mine to really go as far as I could possibly go. And with Mark's experience, get more people involved than just throwing it up myself, because it's a lot of work.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Grant, so even more so for you, you've done what, 4 campaigns?
I've done 5 now because I also did an anthology.
Gotcha.
My horror anthology is called Memoirs of the Morbid. I was, while you guys were answering, I was trying to think of what I was going to say. I feel like every time I do a Kickstarter, it's still a bit of a mystery to me. I mean, you never know what people are going to respond to, and you never know. Okay, are the people who are backing, are they responding to this, or are they responding to that? I feel like I'm still really learning on each Kickstarter. Like I said, for instance, I tried doing a 40-day Kickstarter this time because my thought process was, that's 10 extra days for me to promote it. Is that going to equal 10 extra days worth of backers? Who knows? To me, the important thing is to keep on experimenting, see what backers respond to. And I have to say something. I found a lot of this stuff. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I have found that, a lot of the advice that I've gotten didn't necessarily work for me. So I think at the end of the day, you do have to just kind of experiment with it, see what backers are going to respond to and what they're not going to respond to.
Did we lose Calderon? Is he frozen?
I believe we did.
Uh-oh.
All right, Jay, you're in charge.
Ooh, here comes the hook. All right. We were up to Marvin. What do you got, Marvin?
Well, see, I've only done 1 so far, so I mean, I guess I'm going to be finding that out pretty soon when I go on to my next one. But even looking at the first one, is that I spent so much time working on that. Like I started working on that in November and didn't finish it until July. That's a lot of time to spend on one thing. So I mean, my goal would be to spend less time on it. Like try to, since I know some of the tricks or whatever I need to do up front now, I don't have to spend as much time working on it because I'm not worried about making sure everything is perfect, because now I know what I need to do to make it as good as I can before I launch.
Okay. All right. I'm about to run my 19th. Take notes on other people's campaigns. Take notes on your stuff and keep it in an easy, accessible place. So that way, when you're building your next campaign, you can look at those notes and make sure you don't repeat the same mistakes. Take fucking notes. 1, 2, buy as much of your bulk product as you can to try to minimize your expenses. Buy your packing tape in bulk. Buy your shipping materials in bulk. Buy your bags and your boards in bulk. Buy your fucking paper in bulk. Buy your ink in bulk, because you're going to use a hell of a lot of that stuff. And you do not want it to affect your bottom line. Look, I'm not one of those Kickstarter campaigns that's making boku bucks. You know what I mean? We just broke 5,000 on my last one. Previous to that, we were in the 3,000s. So every penny fucking counts. Find out what other live streams people are on, right? Look at a campaign that's successful. Look at a campaign that's not. Type in that person's name and you'll see how many different times their name is popping up in the live stream, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, and then do the same thing for the person that is not hitting big numbers, and you see they're not getting out there, they're not being vocal, they're not pushing their product. Try to find some of those live streams and talk to them. Listen, hey, what's up? Can I get down with you? That shit helps. Don't buy into anyone's package. Don't anybody's masterclass, anybody's newsletter list. No, man, no. All the information is out here. You don't need to pay somebody to guide you, to hold your hand, because it's a fucking waste of money for you at the end of the day. I mean, the information is here. Do it yourself. Live or die in your own boots. All they're pretty much doing anyway is getting you to buy into their newsletter that they're selling to other people. Keep a newsletter. Keep a newsletter going. You know, I'm up and down when I talk about newsletters. So there's times that the newsletters are going well. You're getting a 19 to 20% open rate, and there's times where you're getting like a 5% open rate in newsletters. So it helps. It helps, right? And when we're trying to make every penny count, newsletters help. And then talk to the collaborators out here. There's resources. Look, there's 3 people here that I'm already cross campaigning with. It's not going to cost you anything to put up a PDF in somebody else's campaign. It's not going to cost them anything to put up in a PDF campaign. And what it's doing, it's adding value at the end of the day to their campaign, and it's going to add value to the people buying into your campaign. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. What's the worst they're going to say? No, right? And so what? At the end of the day, maybe you're getting somebody who'll backtrack onto your product. That's it off the top of my head. Anybody else want to add anything to it?
I would say that I learned to plan ahead.
Yeah.
And also, marketing is key. You could have the best product out there, but you're really selling yourself. So you got to make sure that you have a great presentation of yourself and plan ahead. A lot of people I've reached out to for all these live streams that Pete and I have been doing, and we've been doing a lot of live streams, is we plan. I reached out to them about a month and a half early, because a lot of times, just like with me, I have a window and I can't do it right away. So that way you plan ahead of time, get those things done, and kind of work with it. And a team also helps. So if you have somebody who wants to come on the streams with you, like Pete does, I'm like, I didn't expect him to come on, but I was like, open the door if you want, and he'll jump on.
Yeah. Another thing, I find spending money on Facebook ads help more than Twitter ads. Facebook ads, you hit Facebook ads and Instagram ads at the same time. Don't spend $5. That's nothing. That's just listening to the fucking wind, really.
Right.
And this is something I didn't notice until my last campaign, because I was that person spending $5 a day on an ad and it went nowhere. But you drop 20 and you can see the results. Make sure with Kickstarter specifically, you have a specific link that you attach to that ad, so you know how many people are back clicking, right, through that specific link. Kickstarter tracks that stuff. I don't know if Indiegogo does. So pay attention to that stuff. You going back to Erik earlier, you got to wear all these fucking hats, because every mistake is going to cost you money, and the more mistakes you make, the less of a chance you're going to have to run the next book.
So just to go on your ink thing, I bought a thermal printer. I wasn't doing it, not messing with it.
Okay. Yeah, you got but now you're buying the special sticky labels, right?
Oh yeah, you have to buy the paper for it, but I mean, I'd rather buy paper than continuously buy ink.
So you're gonna need a label printer to yourself when they send you the shipping labels, or they don't send you physical labels
from
fulfillment.
Yeah.
Wait, you're using a fulfillment center, or
no? I'm asking when this is done, and if
for printed labels.
Yeah. So you have to print the labels yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
I did the same. I bought a thermal label printer, and it's the sticker, and it saves a lot of time, makes it look professional, ties into stamps.com, which I use. So, yeah.
As somebody who works in the post office, who's been in the post office for over 18 years, I don't use those printers, because sometimes that shit rubs off. It does. It could get wet. I I just use regular paper, packing tape, and I throw packing tape over the label, so that way it's not rubbing off and it's not getting torn off. They're ruthless. They're ruthless, and if you don't lay that label down properly, you got a wrinkle on there, it's going to get shredded. And not all the time, but I've seen it happen. I see it happen. I do.
I'll tape it down too, because not only did I buy a thermal printer, but I bought a box of tape. I got a lot of tape.
Okay? So you printed up your own box?
What's that?
You printed up your own box?
No, it's tape.
Oh yeah. The bulk packet tape. Yes. And I use stamps.com because media mail on stamps.com on anything less than 10 ounces is $3.43 or something like that. You go directly to the post office, they're gonna bang you. They're gonna bang you for more than $4. I don't use Gemini mailers. They're expensive as shit. I go to Uline and I buy all my hard mailers in bulk. I'm spending less than 40 cents on my mailers.
That's a good one, because I did Gemini thinking they're the gold standard, which maybe they are, but man, they're expensive and they like double the weight and double the cost on a single issue.
You don't need that, dude. That inside flat fold pouch, whatever, that's gonna fucking add, man. And fucking, ounces count.
Takes a lot of tape to secure a single issue in those things the right way as well. I noticed if you just slap it in there, it kind of shakes around. On Lady Dark 1, we did like 320 fulfillments. We only had one damage. It was a guy at a military base, and his was in the mail for like 2 months. And, so I think that 1 out of the 300 wasn't bad. But yeah, it definitely not economic to do the Gemini mailers. They're pricey.
Is there a reason? Sorry. Is there a reason why you guys use stamps.com instead of Pirate Ship?
I've never used Pirate Ship. I know with stamps.com, when I do international shipping, the package gets sent to a center and they do a bulk container shipping to that country. It saves me. So like 40 books to, $40 worth of comics. So it was eight books. Cost me both $20 to Japan and $21 to Canada on my last fulfillment, which was a few weeks ago. Right. I don't know how much that is for Pirate Ship.
I will tell you, people that I have known who've used both prefer Pirate Ship.
Yeah, have you used it? Do you?
That's what I use. The thing that I didn't like about stamps.com was stamps.com charges a monthly fee.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. See, but I'm moving stuff on a monthly basis, dude. Again, I buy books also in bulk because I have a website, and we're selling a lot of that stuff through the website also. So I'm moving maybe $160 a week in comic books off the website.
Nice.
So for me, that stamps it pays off.
Yeah, well, Pirate Ship is doing the international drop ship like you mentioned too now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they sent out an email maybe a month and a half ago saying that they were doing that now.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna check them out. I've never heard of it before, so I'm gonna definally check them out. I just did this sort of standard stuff.
I don't know. Again, I don't know what type of contracts they have, but I know that stamps.com they put a banner up. So for the last 2 weeks, they made it a point to say they are now 72% off shipping with UPS. So stuff that would have gone flat rate shipping on through the post office for $14.95 ended up going for like $9.60 through UPS. Okay. And they, we're looking at packages that were like 3 and 4 pounds worth of books. Cool. I don't know if Pirate has that contract to go that low with UPS.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like you said, it's comparison. So try this, and if it doesn't work out for you, try something else. That's all.
Right. Yeah, and then people can have bad experiences with it. That's a factor also. I don't know if Jose ends up paying more money when he goes over his 2 hours. Does he?
Oh yeah.
I actually have to drop anyway, so
great to meet you all and talk with you all. And I'll definitely sync up.
Best of luck on your campaign, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab all your links and I'm gonna send out an update next week to my people, and I'll include everybody's in here.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Where can they find you? Right, that's how he closes stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Hey. What's up, everybody? My
Perfect
system
timing.
crashed. I had to go to Daphne's computer, and I'm on her computer now. So sorry about that.
We're wrapping it up, dude.
Yeah. No, you guys are doing a good job. I was listening to you on my phone, so thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys did good. I like it. But anyway,
Erik, where can they find you?
Yep.
You can find me radvon.com. You can hit me up at Twitter. I'm Radvon there. Facebook. I'm everywhere. So
awesome. Peter, you're up. Where can they find you, dude?
I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, mostly just Peter Palmiotti across the web.
Okay. Grant, talk to us, brother.
Grant Lankard is a pretty distinct name on all the social media. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook under Grant Lankard.
Spell that last name for the audience.
Lankard. It's just like Tankard, but with an L.
Mr. Wynn.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Edge Comic, and on Twitter at Marvin Wynn.
Torres.
Always easiest to find me. Just type in Google. It Came From the Radio. We are usually on the first page. www.itcamefromradio. We're a syndicated radio show. If you live in Westchester County, New York, you can go to 88.1 FM WARY to hear our show there. Our show is on a couple of online radio stations, as well as over 40 different podcast places. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. We're on Instagram, but I haven't used that in forever, so let's not even go there anymore.
All right. You can find me at unstoppablecomics.com. All social media links are on the website, so you can backtrack there. And you go to unstoppablecomics.com right now. All graphic novels are free.
All right, there you go. Well, my name is JD Calderon. You can find me here most Sundays. I will be back next Sunday with Mr. Rosario and some other co-hosts. Maybe it'll be a holiday, and we'll invite Mark back. And you can find my work on theoswaldchronicles.com and talltalesonline.com, as well as you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and DeviantArt, all under JD Calderon. Gentlemen, thank you so much. You're all awesome. All the campaigns look great. So I think everybody's going to fulfill and make their money and be able to print up these books. All right. So I'll talk to everybody soon. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.